All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about a term that you've probably heard it thrown around in meetings, and let's be honest, it can sound a little, well, a little like corporate jargon. Knowledge management. But what if I told you that getting to the heart of what it really means could completely change how you see information inside any organization?
So that's the big question, right? When we say knowledge management, what are we actually talking about? It seems like a simple question, but you'd be surprised how often the common answers totally miss the point.
For a lot of us, that term probably conjures up images of a giant, dusty digital library, or maybe a perfectly organized but massive digital filing cabinet. We tend to think of it as this passive thing, just collecting and storing documents, kind of like an attic where we stick stuff just in case we need it someday. But that's not it, not at all. That's just storage.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting. This little phrase from our source material, it's the key that unlocks everything. See, knowledge management is not about collecting information just for the sake of having it. It's not some academic exercise in hoarding data. And that right there, that's a huge shift in thinking, from just passively collecting to having an active purpose.
So if it's not about storage, what is it about? Well, this brings us to the real goal, creating actual, tangible value. We're moving away from the idea of a dusty old archive and toward the concept of a powerful engine for success.
And here it is. This is the definition that really changes the game. Let's break it down real quick. It's a strategic process. That means it's planned, it's deliberate. Its purpose is to create value and leverage assets. So we're talking about gains, not costs. And it's all done to meet organizational goals. So every single piece of this process is tied directly to a real, specific outcome you're trying to achieve.
This right here illustrates the difference perfectly. The old view, the one we're trying to get away from, saw knowledge as something to be archived. It was a cost center, paying for servers and software. The goal was just to be able to find something if you needed it. But the strategic view? It's a completely different ballgame. The focus is on fueling your goals. The goal is to create value and to drive action. And in this way of thinking, knowledge isn't a cost. It's one of the most valuable assets a company has, period.
Okay, so if the goal is to create value, how do we actually do that? What does it really mean to leverage knowledge? Let's get into the mechanics of how this whole strategic vision actually becomes a reality.
The core process, pulled straight from the source, is this really powerful phrase: leverage and refine the firm's knowledge assets. Now, leverage means to use it for maximum advantage, getting the most bang for your buck. And refine, that part's huge. It means your knowledge isn't static. You're constantly improving it, updating it, making it better. It's a living, breathing system.
You can really think of it as a simple three-step flow. First, you've got to identify what your key knowledge assets even are. What's the unique info, the skills, the processes that your organization has? Second, you actively leverage and refine those assets. You put them to work on specific problems, and you're always making them better. And finally, that work leads you directly to achieving your organizational goals, whether that's building a better product, moving into a new market, or just making things run smoother.
So, let's pull all of this together. Let's talk about the big picture. Why does this shift in thinking matter so much? What does it actually mean for a team or a company on a day-to-day basis? This is where all the theory gets really practical.
So what's the big takeaway here? Well, when you start thinking strategically like this, you completely transform knowledge from just a passive resource into an active driver of success. And when you do that, it aligns everyone's efforts with the bigger business strategy. It makes sure that all that valuable information isn't just sitting there in storage, but is actually being put to work. At the end of the day, this whole mindset shift turns what many people see as a cost into a real, tangible competitive advantage.
And that really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Take a look at your own team, your own company, and ask this one simple question. Is your collective knowledge being treated as a dynamic asset that's driving you forward? Or is it just sitting in a digital archive somewhere, waiting for someone to maybe rediscover it someday? The answer to that question could be the key to unlocking your future success.